one of the things I am really proud of is to see the progress that we've made. It's one thing to say we're trying to be better. It's another thing to actually demonstrate that you are getting better. And I'm really proud of that. And, when you spend time with, whether it's our employees, talking about the work we're doing with a young farmer or helping a farm move to regenerative farming or organic soils. It lights up our employee because they get excited about then the food and our company at another level. Just like I think it excites our customers when they start to discover that, we really are trying to make food fast done differently. It's like we want to still give you the convenience, the customization, the access, but we want the food to be done differently. And, there's a great line that I've used over and over again that I just fundamentally think is true. It's like how we grow our food will really have a big role in how we develop our future. And that plays at a lot of levels, from the farmer all the way to ultimately the person that consumes it and everybody in between. And that's what I mean by we can make a really positive impact on climate, people, animals, farms. It just rolls on. And it's such a simple idea. But to your point, not everybody's willing to spend the time or the resources on doing things where it's like, look, we took these avocado pits and we figured out how to upcycle them into clothes. And look, it's just a little chip in a lot more work that needs to happen to go the distance and what we're trying to achieve. But I think it's important to do these little chips on these things as it is. Hey, we achieved our goal of 51% waste diversion, right? Yeah. It's like, well, the only way we get to those kind of things is we got to do the little things as well as hopefully these big things that can happen going forward.
And I love how you talked about how it lights up your employees to know that you're doing that and to know that they're part of this. And that doesn't always happen with a big company like yours, that employees can say, I really love working for them because they think about these quote unquote little things. Which aren't really little things.
Well, I think this was in the report. I can't remember if it was or wasn't, but look, the fact that we share with our employees last year, despite all of the, challenges of 2020, we still promoted over 13,000 people in our company, like that's a big deal. And the reason why I think it's important to share that with everybody is, you may work in your one restaurant with your team of 30. And, I think it's sometimes helpful to give people perspective, like, no, we're really serious. If you are committed to developing your capabilities to match your ambitions, there's so much growth opportunity for you. And look, we just in the last year that you would assume nobody got promoted, we were able to promote 13,000 plus people. And, it's those types of things that I think get people really excited. While we're doing that, we're still doing the right things for, climate, community, and all the way through the food chain. So it does make you really proud.
Yeah, and I love that you talked about that. That was actually one of the next things I wanted to discuss with you was 13,689 employees at all levels being promoted, and also that aspect of the degrees in business for employees. And expanding the program, to include culinary, hospitality, agriculture majors. You actually work with several of our other CEOs that we talk about who help to get companies helping their employees get degrees. Guild Education being one of them, and
yes,
and that's extraordinary that you're doing that. And have you personally had a chance to see some of those people that have gotten degrees and now are using that within the company?
Yeah, no, it's really exciting. One of the things that is a fact is when we get people enrolled into these programs, one, they stay with us, and two, they usually grow with us. So, which is like that's the perfect outcome you're looking for, right? It
Yeah.
is, hey, not only do we want you to stay with us, but we do want you to feel like you're growing personally. And then obviously you want to be growing professionally as well. And these programs, working with Guild and, adding these additional degrees, I think just are going to continue to allow people to grow. And, when you go into a restaurant and you talk to somebody that says, hey, you know what, I'm going to school, and the only reason I'm able to go to school is because you guys are reimbursing me for it. You're like, okay, we're doing the right thing here. And as a result, I can't remember I think it's like 80% of our hourly employees are under the age of 25. So, and a lot of these folks work 20 to 25 hours, and, we provide them with benefits, but in order for them to move from kind of like a part-time job, which is how they're treating it, into, I would say, a job or a career, I think sometimes it takes education and it takes the right mentor. And if we can give them the access to the education, and then hopefully through our restaurant culture, we give them access to a great mentor, then we see these folks then move from, being, call it a student phase, regardless of what your age is, to now all of a sudden a professional phase. It's really powerful, and it gets you excited when you see people progress from being, team member to kitchen manager to service manager to an apprentice, to restaurant manager, restaurateur, so there's a lot of opportunities for people to grow.
And that locks into that whole idea too of even though you're this huge national organization, that's really looking at things on the micro level, and looking at
Absolutely.
things at the local level and the community level, that these are communities of people that
Absolutely.
work for you. And that actually is a lead into something else I saw that I thought was wonderful, was the amount of contributions that you guys make to local organizations that restaurants are in. What it was, 5 million to local community organizations through 26,000 fundraisers.
Yeah, we do a ton of fundraisers, and I'll tell you what, it's one of the things that our teams love doing, because the fundraisers are for their local high school or their local theater or their local sports, and so it gets them to be feeling like, hey, you know what, I'm playing a positive role in my community, as well as I get to work at a really unique company that supports the idea of giving part of our revenues to these local organizations. And it's a big program for us, and they're constantly going on. And if you talk to our employees, they love doing it. They love it when it's Tuesday and it's for their local high school or whatever the program is. I think I just saw something too where we do on our website this Roundup for Change as well, which is probably our national approach to fundraising. But we're doing this deal for the Wampler family, which was all about kind of like people with special needs or disabilities, and they're creating a camp. And the folks, I think we're trying to raise, I think like $100,000. I might have these not exactly right, but we did this for 2 weeks. I think we raised close to $1 million for them, and they were just blown away. Just blown away. So it's like it's just a powerful engine. The idea of rounding up for good causes, and I love the fact that we do it. I love the fact that our employees love doing it, and it's great to see the money making a difference.
Well, you answered another question I was going to have for you too, which is I love it when people do that, by the way. But it certainly would be a lot easier to just write a couple of big checks to one or two organizations and say, oh yeah, okay, we did our due. But when you divvy it up in 26,000 fundraisers, I mean, that's a lot more work, quite honestly. Obviously, you get a lot more return because of that. You've got so many different local organizations and so many different people that are connected to your individual stores, and it just, I think it obviously that makes it so much more personal and
Absolutely.
so real for all those employees, right?
Absolutely. And look, I think the thing that's really powerful is, my hope is people view Chipotle more than a company that's just selling burritos. Hopefully they see us as a partner in their community, both for employment opportunities as well as making their community hopefully, consistent with this idea of cultivating a better world. And so it ties in nicely with our purpose. It ties in nicely with our values. And you know what? I have yet to find people not feeling good about doing good things. So, it's like, why wouldn't we do it? Right. It's the right thing to do. It makes people feel good to give, and it makes a difference in these communities.
And talking about that community concept, again, not what you always hear from a major national company, and you guys are so focused on that, it's extraordinary, but it makes sense. We talk about this as a movement because people like you are really, just doubling down on this and saying, this is what we're about and this is what we need to be about. I'm curious, do you have conversations with other leaders in the retail space about this idea? And do you sometimes, get them kind of looking at you as if you're a little crazy doing all this way?
Well, it's funny, most people want to talk to me more about like our digital, business and the success we've had there, and the success that we've had just with a lot of our innovation of late. I always remind folks, I'm like, look, those are our strategies, but these strategies would not be executed really well if I didn't have the right people with the right skills. And we got to pull that all the way through to our restaurants on the digital kitchen experience, all the way to the, walking down the front line in the dining room experience. And, I think a lot of one of the differences is Chipotle owns all our restaurants. So we don't franchise any of these. And what you realize is when you talk to a lot of other folks, a lot of them are in these franchise businesses where, frankly, they don't really run restaurants. They are managing the brand and, the menu, but they're not nearly, managing the organization of people that we are. And I think that might be why the conversation goes more towards, what are you doing from a, brand strategy standpoint than what's happening with how you're investing in your people. And, I always remind folks, I'm like, look, corporations are made up of people. So they're only as good as the people you can attract and retain. And the culture that you create defines the brand. And then that either says people want to be a part of it or they don't. I feel like that's kind of one of my big jobs is like, how do I keep the values and the purpose and the culture rolling? Because I do believe we're working on the right strategies, and we'll hire the right people to get the execution. But the more I can champion the purpose and the values, the better I think our culture will be.
Well, I love the fact that you really are this, this double threat, so to speak, because the business, that digital aspect, the technology, you get all that, you get the marketing, you get all that, but you really are a people person. And every time I talk to you, I get that
right.
sense of you that's what you really love is talking about the people and, helping your people. And that's, I truly believe that's why you guys are having the success that you're having. So hats off to you for doing that and continuing to being committed to that. I want to ask you one last question because we had a really tough year with the pandemic, and we've all been through so much, and thank God that we made it through here. Hopefully, it sounds like we're kind of through the worst of it, and as we do come out of this more, we're asking a lot of our CEOs, what are you most proud of in the last year that your company has done to help people through this? If you had to think of one of the things in particular that you said, hey, we did this because of the pandemic and we've really helped a lot of people because of it.
Yeah, look, I would go to the way we have supported our people. I was talking to somebody recently and they're like, what was the big thing that happened during the pandemic? And I would say, most people would point to our business results around our digital business and the fact that we were able to, create a multi-billion-dollar digital business through this pandemic. And, we were focused on that strategy. I think this accelerated it. But the thing that I'm most proud of is the way that we were able to support our people, not just financially and the fact that we kept the restaurants open and their jobs continued, but the confidence that we put in our people to say, hey, we're going to do the right thing for you here. We're going to figure out how to keep you safe. We're going to figure out how to give you the confidence to do your job well. And then we're going to support you with mental health benefits, not just for you, but your family, because this is hard. This is really hard. And the mental toll was really hard. And, we spent a lot of time figuring out how do we communicate at a different frequency with these people, because you couldn't travel anymore and go into restaurants and see people and be visible that way. So you had to figure out how do you connect with, 80,000 employees and let them know that, I care. I know it's hard. The good news is I know you know how to do your job. Let me make sure you know also how to take care of yourself through this and recognize we're going to support you to do that. And that wasn't easy. It's not easy to do from a distance or through a Zoom. But I think we did a really nice job of giving our employees the confidence to know, hey, look, we're going to honor the bonus. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay. You're going to get your bonus, because for these poor folks in January and February, they were on track to get, a great bonus. And then all of a sudden March hits with the pandemic and it's like, oh my God, my bonus just went to zero. And so they're like, well, great. I'm glad I still have my job, but I was counting on that bonus. Well, it gives them a lot of mental relief, relieve a lot of stress when they find out, we're going to pay you the bonus, as if, March didn't happen. So, take peace in that, and then the second quarter came and it's like, well, we're still challenged here. We're going to figure out how to continue to reward people with, these additional financial opportunities. And then obviously, when people had to be excluded because of whatever issues they were dealing with, and we continue to pay them. So, I think we really tried to figure out how to de-stress the situation and support people both financially, but also mentally. And I'm really proud of how we did it. It's not easy because, you can find out like doing Zoom calls with people can just be more stressful than helpful.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you do it at the right cadence? Are we talking about the right things? And I think we did a pretty good job of staying connected as an organization and, demonstrating that we're going to make decisions consistent with, our values and our purpose. And that gave people a lot of confidence to show up and do their job.
That economic commitment, obviously, to bonuses, must have been just enormous for those people.
Sure.
And made such a difference. The mental health aspect of it is nothing short of incredible. That was incredibly aware of you to realize that. And I don't think a lot of people did realize that for a while. I think probably the biggest challenge of all this was mental health. And did you get a lot of feedback and great responses from people when you let them know that you were offering that mental health to family members as well?
Oh yeah. Well, and also the biggest probably indicator is the utilization of it. So we got a lot of positive feedback, but more importantly, we actually saw people taking advantage of it. Which, if Marisa were here with me, she's in charge of HR for us. She's our chief people officer. She was great with making sure that we called them listening in sessions where, and we're still doing it now. I think though, when you call them now chip chats, but it is literally where we get, a couple hundred people together to just chat. Like, what's on your mind?
Wow.
How's it going? The conversation can go just about anywhere. And then we obviously do the bigger, discussions where you have a couple thousand people on a Zoom call, but I think it was really powerful to be able to get these small groups together as well, which were, call it 25, 50 people at a time. Maybe it was 100 people, but just trying to make it continue to be conversational. The conversations you would have had if I were visiting a restaurant or if we were all in the office together, it's not always these big, discussions or decisions. It's the little discussions. It's the little nuggets that sometimes can push you forward and, make sure people understand that they do have others that care about them.